The Respiratory Health Association is a proud supporter of the Whitney Reynolds Show, raising funds and awareness for lung disease research and programs. Additional support provided by Reach Out Community Center. Reach out and help one child at a time. You're watching The Whitney Reynolds Show.
Hello, I'm Whitney Reynolds, and today is a special day here on the set. We're talking about saving lives. We're connecting a bone marrow donor to her recipient. Let's take a look at our donor's journey.
I'm here because somebody gave a selfless act, and when I see like my grandchildren, or I blow bubbles, or I walk on a sunny day, it's because someone gave me a gift of life. My name is Philip Ozer. I'm 66 years old. I came down with leukemia about 4 years ago, and through the gift of life, I had a transplant, which put me back on the road to recovery.
My name's Tamar. I registered with the Gift of Life when I was 18 years old, and when I was 19, I was matched to help save somebody's life with a stem cell donation. Registering is really simple and painless in every which way. I just took some cotton swabs and just swabbed my cheek cells, and then I put them in a little container, and then I gave them to the people who were running the registry. And people could do that by mail just by receiving the package from Gift of Life or any other registry.
When they said there was a match, I thought, oh my God, will I really be able? You know, there is somebody out there that matched me and was willing to step forward.
This didn't really seem like I could lose anything here. Like the only thing I would miss was like classes, which freshman in college, I didn't really care. The only person who could lose would be the recipient because he wouldn't get anything, but this was a few days of my time and it didn't hurt me in any which way whatsoever.
You just looked at the little bag and you said, could that save my life? I mean, could that prolong my life for a year, 2 years?
In the email he sent me, he had said he had been told that he only had 6 months to live, and now he had survived another 2 years. He had seen his grandchildren be born. He saw his kids graduate from high school and go to college and start families. And like, I didn't really realize until right then what I actually did. It didn't really hit me until that day.
We just watched your donor's video. Let's welcome Philip Ozer, who is the recipient from the last video. Now, how are you feeling right now?
Pensive, actually. I'm quite nervous. I've been wanting for years to meet my donor because of the special gift I got from her. I can't wait to meet her. I tried last year while I was in New York to meet her, but our schedules were different. So what an opportunity. I'm just all excited.
So you have come to Chicago, both of y'all never have met. I just want to make sure people at home know for sure you've never met her.
No.
This is happening all live here today.
Yes, and oh, what a great opportunity, especially to thank her. I mean, it really was a gift of life. I mean, I was dying, and what I got from her was a life.
Well, let's get this nervousness over with.
Okay.
Let's welcome out Tamar, your donor.
Hi, Tamar. Oh,
Thank you.
So pretty. Oh.
Thank you.
Oh, it's so nice to meet you. Oh, okay, can I give you another hug?
Oh, I'm so happy to meet you. Oh. What are the emotions going on right now?
Well, for me, it's so exciting to have met the person that saved my life. You literally changed my life around. When the call came that there was a match, it was like, I can't believe it. I just can't believe it.
What does it feel like for you being here and seeing someone you saved?
It's surreal because we've communicated by letter a few times and I've always enjoyed receiving them. And then when I found out that I was going to meet him, I couldn't believe it. I just don't know how to feel right now. I'm overwhelmed.
Do you consider yourself a hero?
No, I think I was the right person to help this man, but anybody could have been called up, and I think that everybody should be called up if they're able to do this. It's a heroic thing, but I'm just a person.
And I know you consider her a hero, but so many times you want to say something to someone, you think about it. I want you to look her in the eye and just tell her what you've been waiting to say all this time.
I want to say it was such a selfless act. I just can't thank you enough. I mean, we all think we should have done something, but you actually stepped up and did it. Of course, I've had grandchildren and my son's being married, but it just made a difference. It's just nice to be alive, and it's just nice that you were able to facilitate that. Every day we just don't know what will happen, but for today, thank you.
You're welcome. Right now.
When you decided to sign up and become a bone marrow donor, did it register that you would be saving someone's life?
I mean, it registered, but I donate blood, and that also helps people's lives, but I didn't really think that I was going to get called up, and I got called up 6 months later. So I thought, okay, maybe a few years down the road, and then I got the email, and I was just like, this is so quick.
Now that you've met Philip, is it one of those moments that this was well worth it? I'm sure you felt like that before, but now you have a face with it. What's that like?
It's amazing. I got the letters, and each time I got them, I just burst into tears reading them and hearing how well he's doing. And now I'm just I can't put it into words. Yeah.
What you were saying is you were able to do all these things that maybe you wouldn't have been able to do without Tamar donating.
Well, at the time when I was quite thin, and I wasn't doing so well. And when they said a transplant, it was sort of like I would be able to have life again, and it was just, it was just knowing that life would be possible, and I don't know how I could ever thank you.
This is such a heartwarming show today. I'm really just taking it all in myself, which I'm really so excited about you guys meeting. Tamar, I want you to express to people at home, because this is one of those times that maybe at home people are like, I don't know whether to donate or to sign up because it seems so scary. But how does it feel to sit right here and look him?
It's the best feeling in the world. I don't think anybody has an excuse not to sign up, if not donate, if they get the chance. There's nothing to it. You can save a life. How many people can say that they did that?
You can, and you can say thank you. This is so amazing. Well, we are going to let you two catch up backstage, but now it's time for our social sizzle. We have the Big Bang Theory star and also a doctor to explain how easy it is to take a swab and see if you're a match. Let's take a look.
I'm Dr. Mayim Bialik, and today I'm going to explain how putting this little Q-tip in your mouth can save someone's life. First, you need to know about something called human leukocyte antigen, or HLA. Every person has 10 HLA molecules. These molecules protect us from disease, but they also determine if a transplant will work. To give someone a bone marrow donation, the donor needs HLA molecules that are similar to those of the recipient. Thanks to the Gift of Life Bone Marrow Foundation, it's now possible to find out all about your HLA molecules just by putting this Q-tip in your mouth. The Q-tip containing your DNA is sent to a laboratory that decodes your HLA type. Now, when someone needs you to save your life, they'll be able to find you.
Our next two guests know a lot about becoming a member of the registry and also about the cotton swab test we just learned about. They're joining us now with their personal experience.
I brought a kit in so that everybody could kind of take a look and watch us as we're talking about Gift of Life and the Bone Marrow Registry. A cotton swab is used. There are a total of 4 of them, and each swab is used for a quadrant. So it's an upper and a lower on the left and an upper and a lower on the right. And then they're placed in this container holder. and sealed, and an application is filled out by the party who does the swabbing. And then we also have some barcoding, which we place on the application and the swabs so that these items stay together.
Now tell us, Becky, this is a very personal cause for you both. Tell us why.
Well, my younger sister was diagnosed just prior to her 23rd birthday with Hodgkin's lymphoma, and throughout the course of nearly 7 years needed various chemotherapies and radiation treatment. And when things weren't working, she had an autologous stem cell transplant. When that didn't work, she needed a donor, and as her only sibling, I wasn't a match. And so we needed to turn to the national registry, which connects worldwide, internationally, in hope of finding a donor for her so that she could continue her treatment. And we were very fortunate that a match was found internationally. A match for her was found in Israel. That was a very good match, a 9 out of 10, and gave her a chance to continue. Unfortunately, a few months after the transplant, there were some circumstances and she became ill, and she didn't make it. But we were so lucky to have found that match, because otherwise she wouldn't have had a chance. And so that's why this continues to be so important to us.
When we realized that Alyssa was going to need a donor, her family, her wide network of friends all over the country began holding donor drives and working very diligently to try and collect as many of these swabs as possible. And Lissy's match was found in Israel. Gift of Life does swab in Israel for American nationals, but there are so many groups besides Gift of Life, and there are groups for many different cultural and ethnic varieties to try and have drives to find people to go into the donor registry. And the donor registry is international. So all of these organizations that are having donor drives, they are all feeding into the same registry, so that when a party needs to be matched, they do their best. They do their best.
Did you ever do this before your daughter got diagnosed?
No, I didn't. But then we really started doing it and saw the value, and we are still getting notification that we are just amazed that between 20 and 30 matches, actual matches to people needing donations, have been found at drives that were done for Lissy. And that is just a wonderful, wonderful cause to be working for, because it shows you that people can be saved, and people might not be saved without it.
One of the things you both mentioned, which I thought it gave me chill bumps before we started rolling, you said that your sister, your daughter, was all about community.
Yes.
And that it's not necessarily about raising awareness of cancer or whatnot. It's connecting people in the community and making a difference and impacting those around you, and ultimately saving lives. So you're saying 30 people have been saved by this. How often do you guys do these drives?
Well, we try. When Gift of Life needs someone in this area, they call us. And we do a festival that is held in the summertime that congregates a lot of people. So hopefully we have a captive audience, and we do as many swabs as possible. It used to cost almost $100 a kit to process these, but as people are learning to give and donate, it is largely subsidized now, so that people can donate without without cost to them. They can be put into the registry, and that's a wonderful thing.
Our next guest is Jay Feinberg, and your mom actually created the Gift of Life because you were in need of a transplant.
That's right, Whitney. She did.
So tell us about the Gift of Life, because that is the reason we're here today, because the organization actually connects bone marrow donors to people that need it all the time.
Right, right. Well, it actually started in the early 90s when I was diagnosed with leukemia and told that I needed a transplant. And at that time, it was very hard to find a donor. In fact, the odds of my finding a donor, according to the physician who I saw in New York, was less than 5%.
What did that feel like?
To me, it was overwhelming. To my mother, who was in the room, that's a different story. You know, this doctor knew a lot about leukemia and bone marrow transplants and matching, but one thing that he didn't know was the power of the mother. And she was determined. When we left that hospital that day, she was determined not to see her son die. She wanted to do everything she could to help find a match for me, and at the same time help find matches for lots of other patients in similar circumstances.
So you find out from the doctor, he's like, this is a rare, you're probably not going to survive. You have 3 years. In that time span, your mom started this, or was
Yes.
it after? Okay, so she started it and found your donor?
Yeah. It really all started back in New Jersey, where we were all sitting around the dining room table in my parents' house, and that's when my mother said, "We're going to do this." And we started the first drives in New Jersey and New York, and before we knew it, we were getting phone calls all over the country and actually all over the world.
Now that it has grown, I mean, you're a living proof of this organization and how it works, but how many people have you helped out?
Over 2,700.
What does that feel like?
It feels incredible.
Well, we saw how easy it is to become a donor, to take the test, but what happens after your name is called up?
You know, as you know, the test is a simple cheek swab.
Yeah.
There's no
I've
blood. Right. You did it yourself,
Yeah.
and you're in the registry now. So it's just a simple cheek swab, and you go into the registry, and you stay in the registry until the day comes that you may be called. And it happens when you least expect it. Naturally, you get that phone call or that email message that says you have an opportunity to win the lottery.
That is just amazing. 2,700 lives saved.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. Well, our next guests are also bone marrow donor recipient 10 years in. So this is not your first time to meet.
No.
Okay, so we have Mark and Samuel. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us. Thank you very much for all of this.
Yeah, so what is it like? I'll throw this one to you, Samuel.
Okay.
What is it like 10 years later seeing Mark, who you saved?
We have seen each other for the past decade at the Gift of Life Gala dinners. So I've seen Mark grow up. I've seen Mark remain healthy. And it's really an amazing experience just as a continued affirmation of life.
Do you feel connected to him almost like a sibling?
Whenever we see each other, or those random Facebook messages, it's just something to reconnect and get back together and find out how each of us are doing.
So Mark, you're 21 now.
Yeah.
What was it like for you when you got diagnosed and needed this bone marrow transplant?
Well, when I was a kid, I was only 9 at the time, so when you got called upon, that you're cancer and you have it, it didn't really hit me as much. It kind of just was, okay, I'm going to the hospital, and I kind of got to go through all the treatments. I really didn't have a lot of questions that I would have now, rather than when I was a kid. It kind of was just a hole thrown at me, and just go with it.
So what is life like now? What have you been able to do thanks to Samuel?
The easier question of what haven't I been able to do? And I really have no stops, and I can do whatever I want when I want. thanks to Sam.
What would you say to people at home that are thinking about maybe joining the registry, bone marrow donation? I mean, it saved your life.
Just do it. Just get up and do it. It takes 10 minutes and could save another 9-year-old kid's life.
Let's go back to when you met at the Mets game. What was that like?
It was certainly an experience. I think Shea Stadium, I think it was really the best opportunity for our situation.
Look at him, 21 years old, living life,
Yep.
and thankful to be alive
Yeah.
because of Samuel
Yep.
here. Well, thank you both so much for coming on. We love stories like these. Well, our next segment is where we take it to the streets and have the viewers weigh in.
This week's question is, how important is it to donate life?
Oh my gosh, well, I'm going to get teary. Be a Match. We just donated to Be a Match because we lost a friend's daughter. She had 2 donors. One was a 24-year-old man, and I'm not sure they ever got to meet because there's like a year where you can't meet the donor. So I hope he got a chance to see what a gift of life he gave her for several years.
I don't know very much about the bone marrow registry, but anything that helps people out in the future is extremely important.
Yeah, I think that's great. I don't know anything about it, but I'd like to save lives if I can, of course.
If I was young enough, I would do it myself. Unfortunately, I am overage for this. We have a very close relative who life was saved for a period of time by bone marrow transplant. Stem cell transplant, and it was really a great blessing for the family that he was able to maintain himself as he had.
Oh, well, I think it would be worthwhile if you can stand the needles and such involved in it. I think it's important for everybody to do their part in helping out to maintain public health and be aware of the needs.
Today's show is all about the gift of life, and that gift can be passed on to one another. For more information on this show or ways that you can donate, visit WhitneyReynolds.com.
So we waited, and we got the phone call that the match that we got was almost perfect. It was, 7 out of 8, and there were a couple other ones we could have gone with, but Becky called and said, we got the perfect match. This is going to be good. He's going to come out of this transplant. It'll be great. And so.
Jacob, how did that make you feel, buddy?
Good.
He is so cute. Jacob, I'm so glad you're here with us today. I mean, this is so amazing. And what great parents you have. Aren't they great? Yeah, they're great.
You could say yes, they are.
I was definitely scared at points, but I did my homework and did research and talked to doctors and saw that it really wasn't much of a big deal, and it was a pretty easy thing.
The Respiratory Health Association is a proud supporter of the Whitney Reynolds Show, raising funds and awareness for lung disease research and programs. Additional support provided by Reach Out Community Center. Reach out and help one child at a time.